Good morning, everyone. Shanna with Apogee to the Moon. I'm feeling a bit under the weather today, so I'm not going to be doing a video. My face is not going to be on the video, so I'm sharing my screen right off the bat, and I have, X'd out the video, so you guys don't need to see me in my pajamas. But I wanted to get this out and get it up for you. So the aspects that we have upcoming for next week from the 11th to the 17th, Mercury will be coming into an exact conjunction with Jupiter in Aquarius. Mercury will also be squaring Uranus. We have the Capricorn new moon, and on the same day we have Mars squaring Saturn and Venus trine Uranus. And then on Thursday we have Uranus stationing direct. He's going to start moving forward. The Sun conjunct Pluto, and Jupiter squaring Uranus on Sunday. So on Monday, when Mercury comes into a conjunction with Jupiter, this aspect is like this is the coming together of, Mercury is the smaller mind. It's the details and the fine tuning of things. Jupiter is the big picture. Jupiter is, it's like that higher wisdom, that higher knowledge of what's going on. It doesn't really pay attention to the details, but with the conjunction of Mercury and Jupiter, this is, the devil is in the details. This is the big picture coming together and being able to see all of the little pieces that make up that big picture. So it's like seeing the forest for the trees and the trees for the forest, is a saying that I grew up hearing constantly. So if it wasn't for the upcoming square to Uranus and Mars, this normally would be a very happy, very exciting, very mentally stimulating time with a dose of hope. And while there can still be, that jovial optimism that Jupiter can instill with Mercury, there are still going to be, obstacles to overcome. And what comes to mind with this, because also Saturn is in the mix, it's tempering your optimism for the future with a dose of realism and practicality. But it's also tempering your pessimism with a dose of optimism, right? Because despondence is a thing with Saturn, and optimism is a thing with Jupiter. So optimism would be a Jupiterian thing, and despondence would be a Saturnian thing. So optimism is, hopefulness for the future, hopefulness and confidence about the future. And then, despondence actually means a loss of hope and courage. So a little bit of word trivia for you for what can possibly be going on with these. This is also the capacity with this conjunction. This is the capacity of a person to be able to look at a person, a situation, an event, or anything like that and problem solve. And with it being in Aquarius, this is the people as well, but this is also looking at patterns, looking at the big picture and seeing what's coming down the pipeline, not necessarily from an intuitive place, but from almost like a pattern recognition place, right? Like, because Mercury does do with those finite details and Jupiter is big picture, Aquarius is the sign of the future thinker and the scientist and ask the questions. And what this says to me is that if people really focus and intend, with this upcoming conjunction of Mercury to, Saturn and Jupiter and whatnot, this just by itself, with Mercury coming into the conjunction with these two, in square with Uranus and Mars, this can actually give light to events that are happening and understanding where we're going from here. Because you're able to see the big picture, you're able to see the players in the game, you're able to see all of this and understand the pattern and understand the repetition that is happening and moving forward, right? So on the next day, Mercury will square Uranus exact, just after the conjunction of Jupiter. And this can be mental overload by, not by any stretch of the imagination. It can be completely mental overload, especially with Mercury being in Uranus's home sign of Aquarius. Add Jupiter into the mix, and this can be, mental burnout, overload kind of thing. And this can see anxiety as well. Maybe realizing that big picture gives you anxiety. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, so another way that this can manifest is communication of something shocking, something that is out of the box, something that is from left field, something that just is out of the blue, right? Especially with Uranus stationing. This can be really very disruptive communication coming in. And what you hear, while it may be very liberating and while it may be very shocking, it's definitely going to shake you out of complacency or shake you out of inaction. So squares are aspects that can cause friction, and whether or not you view it as good or bad depends on your personal makeup of how you view the world, what your perspective is. And so with this, squares are friction, squares are heat, right? Like it's that frustration. It's where you're coming up against something, and so they cause friction. And of course, wherever there's friction, it's usually somebody with a match. And with all the other planets involved, I'm sure there's going to be someone with a bottle of kerosene too. Anyway, Mercury in square to Uranus isn't a bad thing. It does shake out whatever has been, swept under the rug and, hidden or whatever. It is kind of that really shocking revelation, and something coming out that maybe if you're not consciously putting it out there, it's going to come out anyway. And, this is also an aspect of impatience. This can see people acting out and going against the grain and, going against the established, quote unquote established way of things. And this can see the rise and the upset of the natural order of the status quo. With this aspect, I just kind of chuckle and, aren't the rules meant to be tested? Aren't the rules meant to be broken? Right? With this aspect, that's that Mercury square Uranus. It's very disruptive. It's very much belligerent energy, not unlike a few of the other aspects that are going on. But on Wednesday, that's kind of the meat and potatoes of the week. Because the ruler of this new moon is Saturn. This is a new moon in Capricorn. And on Eastern, you'll have to change it for wherever you are in the world. But, Eastern Standard Time in the United States, this happens at exactly 12 a.m. So this new moon, it's just super intense. Like there's so much intensity surrounding this new moon. This is very powerful, very transformative, very intense, deep, profound new beginnings, but it's going to require effort because of also where Saturn is and the squares. It's going to require dedication. It's going to require, it's going to require you to really take a hard look at yourself. It's going to require you to take a very deep, introspective, brutally honest look at where it is that you have not been integrity and in responsibility. And it's also going to require you to let go of fear, because Pluto does, Pluto, there's a fear thing with Pluto. So this new moon is also less than a degree away from where Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter, were all conjuncting at the same time, right? Last year. And so this makes it even more potent, because when things like new moons or full moons happen in conjunction with very powerful outer planet conjunctions, it says that whatever was happening at that time is now maybe not coming to an end, but it's definitely going to see a shift. And especially because the planets have moved on, it will see a shift in that energy, and it will see a change. So this is a very powerful, very intense new beginning. And so wherever this is showing up in your chart, you need to take notice of this. This is one of those things where you definitely look at the planet that rules the new moon, and the planet that rules the new moon is Saturn. So make sure that if you are setting intentions, you're writing them down, you're logging them, you're charting them out, you're planning it out, you're being very diligent with it, you're being very meticulous and methodical, and you really hone in on what it is that you need to do to start a new beginning. So even with the tension of all of the squares that are going on between, Jupiter, Mercury, and Saturn, and Mars and Uranus, and then soon to be the Sun, within a week after this, the Sun is going to be involved. And so, sorry, just a sec. Make sure that, you're understanding that it's going to be a little rough, especially over the course of the next month and even into the next 6 months or more. Not necessarily and when I say that, I don't mean like the outer world. I mean your inner world. Wherever this is showing up for you, this is going to cause friction and tension and things like that to begin this new journey. So the new moon, though, there are harmonious aspects that are happening. Pluto, the new moon and Pluto are in a sextile. It is a wide sextile with Neptune, but it is still in sextile. And Venus is in trine to Mars and Uranus, albeit she is in Capricorn. But I do like Venus in Capricorn because it's a very practical sign for Venus to be in. And she does, she does well in the structured sign of Capricorn. So, even though Mercury, Jupiter, and Saturn are squaring Uranus, this can be exponential growth towards your long-term goals and getting out from under whatever it is that is holding you down or holding you back. And this includes yourself too. To get rid of what no longer serves you or anyone really. So it will require sidesteps and pivots. It will have delays and over-exaggeration, right? It will have frustrations. It will have endings. And when I say endings, I mean final, like there's no going back. It's done. And it will also have, with Uranus in the mix, it's going to have those shocking twists. But a new moon in Capricorn in and of itself, conjunct Pluto is asking us to see the intentions of new structures, new ambitions, new transformations that will transform your life absolutely, utilizing everything that you have grown through this year after those conjunctions, at these degrees in your chart. And so this is a death of an old way of doing things, a death of a outdated, hierarchical kind of structured way of doing things, and birthing something completely new, and a completely new way of life even. So this will require diligent, well planned out and meticulous steps towards that future goal, because Saturn is in Aquarius, the sign of the future thinker, the scientist, the humanitarian, the revolutionary, and so the question really with this new moon is, what is it in your life that you can revolutionize and transform, but take diligent action on? Where are you willing, where are you able to take the necessary steps forward, no matter how incremental, no matter how small, and maybe even a bit shocking, with passion and joy to see it through. The other thing about this new moon is that Mars is also making its final square to Saturn on this day. So Mars is already facing slowdown and restriction, being in Taurus in and of itself. So the square to Saturn is making that even more so. So Mars in Taurus, I don't know if I really touched on this. Mars in Taurus will not be moved, will not be told what to do. Mars in Taurus is very stubborn, is very belligerent, is very self-absorbed at times. And, depending on what side you're on, it depends on how you view the stubbornness and belligerency that is Mars in Taurus. But with Saturn squaring from Aquarius, there's added outside pressure to make changes. Mars and Saturn making changes for the good of all versus the good of the self, right? So Saturn in Aquarius is the good of all. Mars in Taurus is the good of self. So, this is pressure from those in power and authority to make changes. This is the many, and this is the many, this is humanity versus the few and the elite. This is the masses versus the individual. And one of the things that comes to mind is that, if everyone was minding their own business and taking care of themselves, wouldn't that benefit humanity? Wouldn't it? If everyone was taking care of their own shiznat, would that not help humanity? I think it would. But that's just my opinion. Venus coming into a trine with Uranus. This is offering support. This is beneficial and radical alliances where there was a sense of being alone until now. This is outside the box thinking. This is like what I see this as is kind of like the Wheel of Fortune, when things can take a dramatic and exponential shift, and it's just radical change in partnership, right? Like it's making alliances where you never thought you would. So the out of the box thinking and completely extraordinary, things that could happen is, fame and fortune, or a loss thereof. If you're on top, you go to the bottom. If you're on bottom, you go to the top, right? Like it's and the spectrum in between. And so all of these things happening on the same day as the new moon is a radical and sustainable change over the long term for people on a societal, global, universal level. And if harnessed correctly by every person that, that is aware and knowing of this at the collective level, this is the rise of the people. I mean, that's the only thing that I can say with this, like on the most beneficial, this would be the rise of the people. And it's taking time and effort and dedication to completely obliterate anything that is in the way, that does not serve humanity as a whole, that does not serve the people the highest, best good for everyone involved. And that includes ego. Maybe not complete unification, right? I have my personal opinions on what unification truly means, but this could be partisanship. This could be support of each other for the purpose of absolute truth from, the power structures in our lives, and support of, complete transparency from the powers that be, as far as this aspect goes. And I don't mean to get political. I'm trying very hard not to take sides. A little quick story. I live in New York, and I was told by a little piece of paper that came in the mail that I can no longer be independent, because I'm a registered independent voter, and I can no longer vote unless I pick a side. So if you are an independent voter in New York, you now get this little postcard in the mail saying, contact your local, governing body and change your allegiances. No, I am not doing it. I am independent. I've always been independent since I was 18, growing up in Vermont, and signed up for the voting rights. I've been independent because I do not like picking parties. I don't like picking lines. Anyway, tangent, sorry. Let's get back to the astrology. Anyway, so on Thursday the 14th, Uranus does station direct. We've been feeling this, and actually that's a great segue, right? So Uranus stations cause people to act up. What did I just do? To act out, to get wild, to get weird, and to say F it to the status quo. What did I just do? Leaning into this energy coming up. So Uranus is the great liberator. It is the great awakener. And so where is it that you've wanted to liberate yourself from something toxic, from something outworn, but you haven't been able to do so? Utilizing Uranus stations can be beneficial. You just have to pick and choose your battles. On this same day, on the 14th, we do have the sun coming into its exact conjunction with Pluto. So it is part of the configuration of the new moon. It's not exact, though, until the 14th, which is, I believe, the next day. And the moon has moved on, from the new moon. It's now in Aquarius by this point. Or very close to. So feeling emotionally liberated and dedicated to taking the steps necessary to move into the future in shocking and interesting ways is what the moon's doing. But the sun is still making its way through the final decan of Capricorn, mastering what Capricorn has to offer. And conjunct, the sun conjunct Pluto, it's a very intense magnetism. That's all or nothing, which is what Pluto is. Ego drives, intense passions, intense egotism, transforming the self. It's very transformational, especially if you're sun ruled. This could see, power clashes of people in the limelight versus the ones pulling the strings behind the scenes, and that's something that, like, the sun. Think of the sun as like the monarchs of the world, and the people that are in the spotlight, right? Because that's what the sun does. And it does rule actors, it does rule monarchies, it does rule kings and queens and people in positions of those power roles. And Pluto, though, rules the secret ones, the ones that are behind the scenes. So I think this could see, actually, with everything going on, I think this could see either a changing of or a clash of those that are in the limelight versus the ones that are behind the scenes pulling the strings. On Sunday, we do have Jupiter squaring Uranus. So this can see overinflation of goals, of ambitions. And with everything else going on, we can see people trying to take action and trying to really move mountains with a stick, right? So it's like Jupiter overinflating the things that you need, want, and desire to do, and you don't realize how big it is with this square to Uranus until you're trying to do it, and this is like overload, physical overload, mental overload, like it's draining. And so the other thing with this though too, I was thinking is the monetary system. I think that there's going to be some shakeups with the money system on this one. But this aspect is very ambitious. It's a very ambitious aspect. Jupiter in square with Uranus is very ambitious and very exciting, but at the same time, it can see people being so ambitious that they're just trying to accomplish, they're trying to accomplish a 100-mile marathon in like 4 hours. It's just not going to happen. It's not physically possible. With Mars in the mix, this could be arguments and disputes as well, undue delays with Saturn, and this is entering into this energy. This is going to heat up, and it's going to get more intense with the days to come. For January and February are really intense energy points in terms of the astrology. So it's definitely being felt. And I don't know. I've been studying astrology since 2012, and I have seen physical manifestations of what the planets are saying on again and off again throughout that time, but never to the extent that it's happening now. Right? Like that's not a long time. 2012 is not a long time. But if I've been studying astrology since 2012, like really in-depth studying, and I just wonder at the people that have been studying for 30, 40, 50 years, right? Like how often does it happen that the astrology becomes literal on a daily basis? It's just insane. Okay, so now we will go to the Allsignsforecast. So, and we're going to focus on the new moon and the transformation, the new moon conjunct Pluto. We're going to focus on the transformation for that. For Aries and for Aries rising, this new moon is happening in your 10th house. So there is a sense that there is a complete change that's happening with you on the level of how the world knows you. This is people also that are above you in power and authority. There's a complete turn around with how you're known out in the world, or who is in a power structure over you. This is also, this new moon definitely will have you possibly destroying the old way of how people know you and completely transforming yourself from, like the only thing I can think of is like the Phoenix, right? Especially with Pluto, because obviously Pluto is Scorpio and the Phoenix energy is a thing there. So this is like burning everything down for you in terms of how you're known in the world. I mean, because you're Aries, right? You've had Mars go retrograde in your sign, back and forth over your ascendant, depending on where it is. And this energy of being renewed for you, especially, you've gone through, a renewal of sorts. And now it's like taking that almost to the next level and taking it out to the world in public. Like everything that you have gone through is now going to be known to the world, kind of thing, is the only thing that I can think of with this. But A new moon in the 10th house, I mean, this could see Aries changing careers completely, like doing complete 180 and going into something that you never thought you would have gone into. This could see people that have been, CEOs leaving their jobs and starting a farm, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's just that kind of complete transformation. Like, who in the world would see a CEO leave a multi-million dollar company, salary, whatever, and start a small farm? When would you see that? Now you could probably see that. That might become a thing. But with this new moon, this is completely transforming how it is that you're known out in the world. This, what it is that you're doing, what you're known for. It's like a complete change in who you are. And it's also with everything else going on, changing your social groups and changing how it is that you make your money, and what it is that you truly value is going to change. So in that, this will change you at a much deeper level, and it's going to have you showing people in raw authenticity who you truly are with this new moon. And I'll leave it at that. So we'll go to Taurus and Taurus rising. This new moon is happening in your 9th house. So this is a very intense new moon. This could see Taurus rising people having a complete overhaul in how it is that they look at the world through their relationships, and also a complete change in what it is that they're known for and what it is that they're doing out in the world as well. This could see some Taurus rising people possibly, moving into the spotlight to become teachers, to become healers, to, become those gurus and the wisdom keepers, the sages, if you will. This could also see some Taurus rising people also transforming themselves at a deeper core level through the partnerships and the relationships that they've had. And see, this to me, with Pluto, this is more psychological, but with everything else going on with the planets in Aquarius and your sign, I mean, this is complete transformation of you as well, with what it is that you're known for, your physical body even. And it's going to come through those deep, profound relationships with a Pluto, a Plutonic person, whether or not it's, a business partner or it's a significant other of some kind. This is really, or even like someone at a distance. This is going to completely transform how it is that you see the world and how it is that you view the world and what it is that you thought to be true out in the world. Your viewpoint, your like those soapbox things where, no, this is how it is. Well, you're transforming that because you've been working, on this as well, probably in partnership with people, with a teacher and whatnot. But this is definitely transforming also what it is that you're going to be doing out in the world, and your physical body is definitely going to be going through some changes as well with this square from the 10th to the 1st that are going on, and really overhauling you, especially with Venus, in Capricorn, also giving a trine to Uranus, which is your 10th house as well. So this is definitely, maybe you're deciding that enough is enough and you're going to teach something as well, because the 9th house is higher education. This is you deciding that you're going to teach something, or maybe you're going to start a program to teach something, or this could see you deciding that you're going to take a course in something of a Plutonic nature, like whether or not it's astrology or psychology or anything like that. So that's definitely a thing with this new moon in Capricorn. For Gemini and for Gemini rising, this new moon is happening in your 8th house, and you've had a lot of stuff going on in the 8th house as a Gemini rising. You've had a lot of things happening, possibly a lot of endings, a lot of very deep transformations that have been going on with that 8th house. And with this new moon coming in, it's going to be transforming, especially because the ruler is Saturn. This is going to be transforming how it is that you see the world. This is going to be transforming, transforming you, possibly seeing you, letting go of things from the past and moving forward into a completely different way of being. This can seem, this could see you also diving in and learning something. This could see you becoming very secretive as well, especially with Pluto, and it's in the 8th house. This could see you being very laser focused and braving a new beginning. I want to say health is involved too, because Pluto does rule your 6th house. I want to say this is also a new beginning for you with, really getting very deep and understanding where you have allowed others to take away your power to work on yourself and getting the things that you need on that daily basis, because Pluto does rule your 6th house of daily routines. And this could see you getting very deep and getting, digging down into the mud, so to say, of your psyche, your own personal psyche, and understand where you have given away your power and allowed others to have control over you and what it is that you're doing on a daily basis. And this could see you completely transforming that and liberating yourself from that as well. For Cancer and for Cancer rising, this this new moon is happening in your 7th house of relationship, either business partnership, spouse, clients, any really close one-on-one personal relationships that you have. This could see you really transforming your relationships, I mean, Pluto also rules your 5th house. So, I mean, maybe some of you Cancer rising people are getting married. Maybe some of you are taking that love affair to the next level and, making it official somehow. But this new moon, conjunct Pluto, this is also going to have a very deep and profound impact on your ability to understand where your true passion lies and where it is that you need to heal from past traumas and past wounds, not only in relationship, but also at that deep psychological level. And this could see, because the ruler of this new moon is Saturn, and Saturn is in your 8th house, this could see you really completely overhauling what it is that you're doing, right? Because Jupiter is involved as well. And getting a deeper, more profound, more psychic understanding of something that happened in the past that has affected you up until now. And you are no longer under the power and the control of whomever or whatever. And you are going to completely transform and heal from past wounds, past traumas, because Mercury is also involved with this because it's conjunct Saturn, and Mercury rules your 12th house. So this is the past. This is also the dreams, right? This is also your 6th house with Jupiter involved of your daily routines. I mean, this is such a healing new moon, but it's not going to be without shocking things. Like, it's not going to be without shocking events. It's not going to be without like intense, deeply magnified. I mean, if anyone has ever like uncovered something, I know a lot of people are talking about inner work and shadow work and blah 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 whatever, but I mean, come on, if you've ever had a true moment of healing where you completely understand where it is that you have sabotaged yourself because of an event that happened in your childhood or in the past, or even, a past life, because Pluto has that connotation of that past life thing, right? Like, this is such a deep healing transformation that can happen for Cancer people, whether or not you're a sun, moon, or rising. I mean, this is, if you have the sun, the moon, or your ascendant in Cancer, this is going to be very deeply transforming for you yourself on that deep psychological, psycho-emotional level as well, because you are ruled by the moon. And this is also, you're going to change up how it is that you have been doing things because of this healing that's going to take place. But it's definitely going to be intense. I mean, there are other words that you can use for intense, but I'll leave it as the surface level intense. We'll just leave it at intense. And I'll own that, because Cancers are so sensitive, because you're ruled by the moon and you're ruled by your emotions, and you're ruled, emotions change, emotions move, and things that Cancerians hold deeply personal don't change. It's that emotional effect. So this could also be someone coming in, this could be a relationship coming in that is going to be very deeply healing for you. This could be someone coming in that's going to literally, completely change how it is that you understand even your own self or your own reality. So go Cancers. For Leo and for Leo rising, this new moon is happening in your 6th house. So for Leo risings, this is a brand new beginning and a very intense brand new beginning that's going to require, dedication, that's going to require fortitude, that's going to require, intense focus and a release of fears for you around your daily routines. This could be a new job because this is also the house of jobs, right? This is where you show up in service. This could be, with Pluto ruling your 4th house and Saturn, ruling your 6th, but in your 7th, this could be a new, I mean, everybody's working from home right now. Well, not everybody, but this could see you really transforming where it is that you show up in service to other people and how you're showing up in service to other people. And with that Pluto there, I mean, Pluto does rule the occult. It does rule magic. It does rule, it rules your 4th house of home and family and property and roots. So there could be some very shocking, especially because the Saturn square Uranus is upcoming. This could be a very shocking revelation that happens in terms of where it is that you come from and the roots that you thought you knew. I'm a Leo rising, and trust me, I can see this coming. I've disillusionment everywhere, especially with Neptune up in the 8th house. Anyway, so this new moon is very transformational on so many levels other than because you have Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury right now in your 7th house. And so this new moon being ruled by Saturn and Saturn being in your 7th house. This is definitely very long-lasting relationships that are coming in that are going to help you completely transform how it is that you're showing up in service to other people. Like whether or not you're like me and you're working, you're trying to start your astrology business because you've been working at it for so long. It's just people are driving you crazy saying, you need to get your name out there, right? So I'm just going to say that. I hate doing these videos too, by the way. I hate them. But I do them because I love people. I love the people that are in my life and they enjoy listening to them. So this can completely transform how it is that you're showing up in service and what it is that you're doing for work. And the relationships that you have will be changing, the longer lasting ones. This is going to be a very deep introspective new moon for you, Leos, because it's with Pluto, which is the ruler of your 4th house, of your home, your family, your roots, and where you come from, your lineage, your ancestry. So this is, and the fact that you have Scorpio as the 4th house of where you come from, there could be very shocking revelations of actually where your ancestry is. And you're going to get deep with it and you're going to really truly understand it and put it to bed and own your own power again. Because Pluto is about power, and because this is, in part of this configuration in your 4th house, from the ruler of your 4th house with this new moon, this could see you, and it's your chart ruler too, conjunct Pluto. So this could really see you having that deep transformation at the root level of who you are and where you come from. For Virgo and for Virgo rising, this Capricorn new moon is happening in your 5th house. So depending on where your ascendant sun or moon is, it could be in trine. So this, while it's not going to be as intense, it's going to be intense because Pluto's involved, and I don't care what aspects are being made. Pluto is just intensity. It brings a level of intensity. It brings a level of obsession, no matter if it's a trine. But it'll be easier for you because the sun and the moon, this new moon is happening in trine. For Virgo specifically, this could be a complete transformation in how you are expressing yourself, because the fifth house is the house of expression as well. It's also, it's the house of children and love and romance and, fun and hobbies and things that you love to do. But it's also, yes, self-expression. So you could be completely transforming how it is that you're expressing yourself out in the world. Because this can also see you changing, because the moon does rule your 11th house, it's in your fifth. This could see you changing your social status in completely profound and new ways, with the moon being conjunct Pluto, with the sun, the ruler of your 12th house. This could see information either coming in through dreams as well. I mean, it's not technically in the 12th house, but your 12th house ruler is involved. And it is conjunct Pluto, which is the ruler of your 3rd house, right? So it's how you think, how you speak, how you communicate. This could be a completely new beginning for you in how you're expressing yourself out in the world if you don't have children. If you have children, this could be a completely new beginning, a new intense beginning for your children. Especially 3rd house, this could see homeschooling on the table for you, for Virgo risings. And in general, for Virgo rising people, this could see Virgo rising people deciding, sun or moon, deciding, because it is, 5 houses away, this could see something to do with children. Perhaps you're deciding that you want to start a family, even amidst all the turmoil and the craziness that's going on, and to make a better world. But this is definitely, to me, this is more about your self-expression and how you express yourself out in the world, and how it is that you find your joy, especially because after everything that has gone on this year, with that 5th house of yours, especially at the end degrees, and Jupiter and finally Saturn moving out, but Jupiter also moving through. And so this could be a completely new beginning, and you could find your joy again, right? For Libra and for Libra rising, this Capricorn new moon is happening in your 4th house. So for Libra rising, this could see you purchasing a new home. Definitely, I see that. But this is a very profound, just the placement itself, this is a very profound new beginning to what it is that you're coming home to, and to possibly who you're coming home to. With Pluto in the 4th house, this is completely transforming. The fact that the sun rules your 11th house of, your social circle and friends, and the moon rules your 10th house of your career, this could see you possibly even buying property over the course of the next several months. When you're talking new moon to full moon, it's not necessarily this new moon to the next full moon. It could be this new moon to the full moon in Capricorn 6 months from now, or the full moon in Capricorn a year from that. You know what I mean? It just depends on the cycles that are going on in your life and how big these cycles are, because Pluto is such a slow moving planet. It could take a little while. And the fact that it's in Capricorn could take a little while, because, Saturn is very restrictive and delays things. But the fact that Saturn is now in your 5th house of your joy and your self-expression, this could see you transforming how it is that you're expressing yourself as well, behind the scenes, at home, or even what's going on at home behind the scenes. Because of the square that's going on, between Saturn and the planets in Aquarius to the planets in Taurus in your 8th house as well. This could see you completely transforming and healing from traumas and wounds and, limitations of the past, even, that will transform where it is that you're laying down your roots. This is also, Pluto rules your second house of your sense of worth and value and what it is that you truly value in the world and your contribution to it, but as well as your sense of self-worth. So this could be completely transforming for Libra rising people, especially because also Venus, your chart ruler, is in your fourth house right now. So that could be a thing for you as well. For Scorpio and for Scorpio rising, this new moon is happening in your third house of how it is that you're communicating. And because Pluto is also your chart ruler, this new moon is going to see you completely transforming how it is that you are speaking and communicating out to people in the world, and completely changing what it is, because the ruler of this new moon is Saturn. It's going to completely change what it is that you're doing at home as well, right? Because Saturn right now is in your fourth house and it's squaring the planets that are in your seventh. So this new moon, this is you yourself starting a new beginning to what it is that you, well, I mean, for some Scorpio risings, if you teach anything, Scorpios, the moon is involved, the sun is involved. So if you're a teacher of sorts and that 10th house of Leo is the sun, this is a new beginning of how it is that you are communicating. Your teaching style is going to change, or you're going to completely overhaul what it is that you're teaching if you're a teacher. If you're a psychotherapist, well, this could see you completely transforming how it is that you communicate with your clients and what it is that you're discussing with your clients as well. If you're an astrologer, this could see, like Scorpio is so varied. I love Scorpio. Bias is my fourth house. So, this is definitely a very profound, very intense transformation of how it is that you yourself are communicating out in the world. And so, this, and even how it is that you're communicating at home too, because this, your third house ruler is now in your fourth. So what it is that you're communicating behind the scenes at home as well can change. But this is definitely a very intense new moon. For Scorpios are used to intensity, so maybe it's not going to be so bad for you guys. Plus, it's also in sextile to your ascendant and in trine to your descendant. So this is very much transforming how it is that you're communicating with those close personal one-on-one relationships, and then you yourself will transform from that as well. So there's that. For Sagittarius and for Sagittarius rising, this new moon is happening in your second house. So this profound new beginning is happening with your sense of what it is that you truly value in this world, how it is that you're making that contribution, and the money that you yourself are making of your own physical efforts, right? So the ruler of this new moon is in your third house of communication. So this could definitely see you communicating what it is that you truly, deeply value at that core level. And also, because Pluto rules your 12th house, this could see you, I mean, if you're a Sag rising and you work at a hospital, this is definitely a promotion. I mean, you could see yourself skyrocket, to a whole new level in terms of working at the hospital, because it also rules hospitals. I know several Sagittarius risings that are also yoga instructors, or they are like mystical, like they do tarot cards as well. And I also know a few Sag risings that are I don't want to say a cult, because it just sounds, the stigma behind a cult is bad, but like taking and communicating truths at a much deeper, more core level of that collective conscious heart, right? Because Pluto rules the 12th house. The 12th house is also part of the collective, and where it is, everyone is connected because we're all connected through the 12th house, no matter what. So this could see a very deep, very profound transformation for you in communicating those 12th house themes and changing deep, profound insights into what it is that you truly value, what it is you need, want, and desire to yourself, right? Like this is also money that you physically make. So this can see exponential growth, especially in the second house of your money. This could also see new beginnings with your sense of self-worth and your sense of what it is that you value that you're putting out in the world and communicating. So there's also this sense, because your chart ruler is in your third house. So your focus is going to be on communicating this as well. And with the ruler of the new moon being Saturn, it's also going to see you focusing on communicating this new sense of self and the sense of what it is that you are going to be putting out there, because it's also in trine with your descendant. And the square, though, is happening in your sixth house of your daily routines. So your daily routines right now with Mars and Uranus there, especially with Uranus stationing, your daily routines are going to be very disruptive. It's going to be on again, off again, and it's something that you're going to have to deal with as well. And then with Mars coming into that conjunction, with showing up in service by doing the things that you love to do, right? Because Mars does rule your fifth house. So this could see you showing up in service, doing something that you truly love to do because you love to do it. And then because of that, it's in trine with, it's a sign-based trine to that second house and what it is that you are manifesting there. This is really good for Sag risings. I'm really excited for Sag risings. Plus you have the North Node, in your seventh house. You have the South Node on you. So you are coming out of your shell in terms of, being and not being focused on yourself, because you've been focused on you and what it is that you've been doing. Now you're focused on your relationships with other people with that North Node there and where you're going. For Capricorn and for Capricorn rising, this is you, Capricorn. So this is you completely transforming who it is that you are. This is you transforming who it is that you associate with. This is you transforming your sense of self, your self-worth, what it is that you truly value, and what it is that you're doing to make your money as well. Because the ruler of this new moon is in your second house of Aquarius, how you make your money, what it is that you value. And with this new moon conjunct Pluto, this is complete transformation of that 11th, it's the ruler of your 11th house in your first house. So this is you specifically taking action and transforming what it is that you're doing with the groups that you associate with as well. This is a new beginning for you. This is also you transforming your body in such a way as to be a completely new person. You've had such a rough go of it over the last several years with Saturn coming through your sign. You know what I mean? It's a rebirth for you, but Saturn can be a real pain in the to rebirth you as a new being unto yourself. So this can also see, this new moon for you yourself could see some stuff going on with with your kids as well, because the 5th house of Taurus has Uranus and Mars there right now. So this new moon, your chart ruler and the ruler of this new moon in square with Mars and Uranus, this, and conjunct Jupiter, this could see, this could see a few number of things, but this could see you having to shell out some money to do with your children, possibly to do with some either rehab, right? Because 12th house Jupiter ruling Sag has something to do with that, or hospitals, or like a retreat. Maybe the way this will show up is that you get to shell out some money to go on a retreat with your kids and just be away from all of the chaos that is in the world. That could be a thing too, depending on other things in your chart. But this in and of itself affords the opportunity for you to completely transform yourself at a very deep core level because of everything that you've gone through, and really gaining a new sense of value from the experiences that you've had and moving forward. For Aquarius and for Aquarius rising, this new moon is happening in your 12th house. Whew. So this is a very intense, very profound new beginning. And I want to say this has to also do with your career, because Pluto does rule your 10th house of Scorpio. Scorpio is your 10th house. Pluto rules Scorpio. This new beginning, it almost seems like there's an ends beginning with this. You are ending something to start a completely new beginning in what it is that you're doing out in the world and what it is that you're known for. You have the ruler of this new moon in your sign, completely transforming you. It's been in your 12th house of letting go and, that deep psychological sabotaging that we all do. But now it's in your sign. And so what this can see with this new moon and the ruler of this new moon, and Saturn also rules you. So you yourself are taking action on changing how it is that you're known out in the world and what it is that's going on behind the scenes as well, because this, Uranus and Mars square to Saturn, Jupiter, and Mercury happening at the same time, this is really going to transform what it is that you are going to physically end something and transform what it is that you're coming home to, as well as how you're known out in the world, right? That's a thing with this new moon with you. And, maybe it's you getting deeper with who you are at that core level. And with Uranus there shaking things up and Mars adding that fire and that passion, this new moon, this also, because, I know I said it last week, but you have the sun in your 12th house and the sun rules your 7th house. This could be secret new relationships, but very deep, very profound spiritual relationships with someone that is going to help you transform your physical body, your physical health, and healing. Very, very healing for Aquarius rising people. Very deep healing transformation at that spiritual level, and what it is that you're doing out in the world and what it is that you're coming home to will change, especially because it's also in a sign trine with everything going on in your 4th house. This is definitely you taking action on this, and people that you love and care about taking action to support you in this as well. So with Pisces rising, Pisces, finally we're at the end. I love Pisces. I have a Pisces moon, so I'm kind of partial to Pisces energy anyway. And I'll leave that there. So with this Capricorn new moon, this is happening in your 11th house. So this profound, deep, transformational new beginning in your 11th house is very spiritual in origin, because now you have the ruler of this new moon in your 12th house, Pisces. So also with this new moon, you know, the ruler of your 11th and the ruler of your 10th. So changing what it is that you're doing, you're changing something behind the scenes. You're really getting deep and understanding where it is and what it is that you've been going through for the last several years, and understanding where your self-sabotage has been, but also where it is that you can change what it is that you are known for, what it is that you're doing. This is you taking diligent behind the scenes action, but also working with groups of people. This could be you working with groups of people behind the scenes. And if it's not behind the scenes and you have a spiritual practice or a spiritual business, like whether or not it's astrology or meditation or, you know, anything like that, this could see you working with completely new groups of people from a distance to completely transform what it is that you yourself are doing in the world. This is because you have Jupiter and Saturn in your 12th house right now. You also have Mercury in your 12th house, which also rules your 4th house. So this is really transforming what it is that you could be doing at home as well. But you also have to remember Mercury is going to go retrograde here. So there could be some issues that pop up related to home and related to, you know, things going on behind the scenes as well, especially because it's also 12th house behind the scenes. But Mercury does rule your 4th house of home. So this could see some stuff crop up with that later on. But this new moon is very deep, very transformational, and will put you in the, you know, in the in the limelight, something to do with either psychology, astrology, magic, occult, what have you, in that 11th house of people that you associate with by choice, and your groups of friends and the organizations that you belong to, as well as, you know, I mean, 11th house does have an association with internet as well. So this could be working with other people over the internet. Working with other people over the internet to help, and, you know, for business, because, you know, the ruler of your 10th and your 11th are in your 12th. So this is behind the scenes. So right now, this is a new beginning of something that's to come, you know, over the next 6 months or year and a half, what have you, depending on how the rest of your chart is set up, to transform what it is that you are known for and what groups you associate with. You're having new people come in that are going to be very long lasting, because you've been transforming this 11th house for the last several years with Saturn here. And then when Jupiter came in, kind of added to the expediency of nixing the people and things out of your life that no longer serve you. This new moon conjunct Pluto will see you very laser focused, understanding who it is that you can have in your life, who it is that you want and need and value to be in your life. This could also be a new teacher coming in, because Pluto does rule your 9th house. This could see you teaching something as well, you know, using the internet to teach something for Pisces rising people. But this is definitely very deep, very healing, very transformational in that 11th house. And it's not going to be without crazy twists and turns, but it's definitely, I just feel like it's fun, because it's also in sextile to your ascendant and it's in trine to your descendant. So this is, you know, depending on the degree, sign base, trine, sign base, sextile to your ascendant and descendant as well. So this is definitely going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be intense. It's going to be deep. It's going to be powerful, and it's going to be beautiful. So that's Pisces and Pisces rising. So I do hope that this was helpful. And I do hope that you gain some insight and you have, leave in the comments below too about, what's happening for you. I'd love to hear from people, and love to hear your experiences and know that, this is helpful doing this every day, every week. And, like, share, subscribe. All right. Peace out, everybody. I love you. And I hope you all have a great week. And much love.